In the last video, you would have seen us buy the cheapest Toyota Hilux Surf in Australia. We found this car listed on eBay and bought it sight unseen for $1,236. This car was abandoned and extremely mistreated, but we are here to bring it back to its former glory.
Oh, that's straight urea.
Welcome back to a new video, guys. In today's video, we're going to be preparing the Hilux Surf for its first start under our ownership. When you buy a used clapper like we did that was paddock bashed and abused and neglected, it's really important to go through the car very thoroughly before turning the key. It's really important to do a full service of the vehicle, check everything over so you don't accidentally do some damage to the car just by pure negligence. In saying that, I don't want to do some accidental damage to this 1KZTE, so let's get to it. I honestly forget how disgusting it is in this engine bay. Initially, I started by taking off the destroyed air intake pipes, not only to throw them in the bin, but to also get useless stuff out of the way. Removing these rubber pipes was super easy, just 2 clamps and 3 clips for the airbox, and it was all gone. The next step was to drain the oil. The sump plug was coated in dirt, so I cleaned it before trying to remove it. Removing it was quite difficult because it honestly felt like Hulk tightened it with a 1-meter breaker bar. I'm currently letting the oil drain out of the car, but what really surprised me, and I actually snapped my tool. That's how tight it was. No sump plug should ever be this tight, but I had to put so much force into it that I literally thought that I was gonna break the ratchet that I was using. I was terrified that I'm gonna ruin the sump, but luckily we didn't. I then changed the oil filter. I replaced the old one with a Ryco from Burson's. I screwed it on tight by hand and the oil change was complete. One thing I really like about these oil filters is that they actually face downwards, so the oil runs down into the pickup from the filter, rather than on my other cars where the filter's facing down at the ground, and when you take it off, more oil runs out. The color of the oil is very black. If you have a look here on my hand, not necessarily a bad thing though, because in diesel, sometimes if you just turn the key and drive it to the shops and back, it'll be already really black. This car uses quite thick oil, 15W40. You know, this oil felt really runny, indicating that it hasn't been changed in a really long time. Call me unprepared or a genius, but I use this bottle as a funnel. To finish off the service, I put 7.5 litres of Newlon 15W40 into the dirty KZ. My dad and I have been using this viscosity in our KZ for 20 years now, and we have never had any issues with the engine. It's the next day now. I'm here working on the Surf in the rain. Lucky I've got undercover here. We're continuing to prepare the Surf for its first start in my possession. So currently got the coolant draining over here. I've removed a few more bits and bobs from the engine bay. I want to take the radiator out to give myself maximum room to change the timing belt and water pump and all that. And I need to change the coolant anyway. The coolant that's draining out of the car is perfect color. It's not milky or anything. So that is indicating that either the coolant was just changed or the fact that the head's not cracked. I disconnected all of the hoses to the radiator, which are used for coolant. I haven't worked on an automatic vehicle in a while, and due to my lack of mechanical experience, I totally forgot that there are transmission oil lines running to the radiator simultaneously. After disconnecting the remaining hoses, I could finally take the radiator out of the car. I undid the 4 bolts that held it onto the rad support. However, it was very difficult to get this massive aftermarket radiator out due to a lack of clearance from the fittings for the automatic transmission fluid lines. So that was a little bit of a bastard of a job. The radiator's out now, so all the hoses are here, lots of room here. I need to take this fan off without breaking it in order to be able to service the front of the engine. It doesn't look too hard. The only thing is I hope that it's not super rusty in there and the bolts don't snap or strip. Removing the fan from this old donk was very easy. There were 4 bolts holding it on, and somehow I had enough room to fit my fat fingers in there to take them off. I pulled off the pulley that the fan was on, and with it came the V-belts. The belts on this car were all crusty and disgusting, so I threw these ones out and we'll be getting new ones ASAP. You would have seen me take out the fan and one of the main pulleys off and then take those belts off. However, while I was undoing those bolts on the fan, something started to slightly concern me. I don't know too much about diesel engine compared to petrol engine. I don't know whether it's healthy to be able to spin the engine with just this. I know that diesels are supposed to have super high compression. Obviously, that's how they ignite the fuel, but this didn't seem to feel like it had super high compression. So we might be in for a big shock. On a diesel, in order to do a compression test, you need to take the injectors out, from what I understand. I don't really have the facilities to do that now, nor do I have a compression tester, nor do I know if the car actually cranked. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a ratchet on it and see how easily it should spin. It should be giving me a lot of resistance, but I'm really scared that this one is not going to. Alright, let's put this on. There we go. And let's turn the engine. As you can see here, the engine requires minimal amounts of effort to be spun. I spoke to a mate of mine, shout out Liam Calder, and he told me that he did a timing belt on a 1HZ and it required a heap of effort to spin the engine. At this point in time, I had a feeling that my engine was toast. I've changed ratchets to a different one, a better one, and this is me turning it. Literally just like that, continuously. Now, this could all be fine. I'm just not used to this and not the most cluey with diesel engines. I really don't know. I really want to find an answer though. Please tell me down below in the comments. Once again, it's now the next day and we're going to continue working on the motor of the Sir. The first thing we're going to do is check the timing belt, see if it's alright or if it's on the verge of snapping. I've spoken to a few friends of mine who are mechanics. Half of them said that the engine is finished. The other half said that the engine might be alright. We're going to have to find out for ourselves. Let's get on the tools. Even though the engine might be cooked, we still continued to prepare it for its first start. I needed to check whether the engine was timed correctly, so I had to remove this plastic cover. I also needed to check the condition of the timing belt as there was no indication of when it was last done. By the condition of the car, I'm guessing it was quite a while ago. Look, it's honestly not that bad. It's honestly not that bad.
That feels very loose. Intention that.
Well, the good thing is that the timing belt looks like it was once changed. Whether it was 20 years ago or not, I don't know, but...
It looks fairly new.
Yeah, it
it's a Gates belt as well.
Doesn't look too bad. Come on, Nathan, give it a turn.
He was worried about the fact that it doesn't have comp. Mate, look at this. Why do you have comp?
Mate, I think maybe I'm just too strong.
We're about to find out if it's timed correctly based on the previous owner's markings. On the KZ, same as 1KD, you have a mark here. There's a mark right there.
We have one marking there. According to a YouTube video, that one's supposed to be there. And then this one is supposed to be right at the top. It means we're in business.
Should be all good.
It means we can start the car.
I mean, the belt is still a bit loose.
It's not too bad though.
No, it's not too bad.
I will replace it. Well guys, we're getting closer to starting the car. I really hope you all enjoyed this video. Very soon I'm going to be putting everything back together and then we will truly find out whether the motor is blown up. If you want to see more of this build, subscribe below and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.